This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
这是我。
This is me.
This is me.
And this is us.
Welcome back to another episode of This Is Us. I cannot tell y'all how long I have been waiting for this opportunity to interview this young man. When I tell y'all, he was probably one of the first people that I saw on TikTok. Still to this day, I mean, apparently, I look at him as if he's a blind celebrity in the world of TikTok, or blind Tock for some of you guys who may be a little bit more fluid on TikTok. Y'all, it's Jay Bolger, otherwise known as the Baritone Blurred. Hello, Jay.
Hello. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yep. So, as you guys know, because this will be airing in October, with NFB dubbing this the Meet the Blind month, I wanted to go ahead and bring Jay on just to get the, for you guys to get the opportunity to know him a little bit better and all that good stuff. So hopefully we might learn some new stuff about him on here. But the whole our formalities in the beginning. Jay, can you tell us your name, your age, and where you're from?
My name is James Bolger, but I go by Jay. All of my friends call me Jay, and on TikTok, I'd rather people come meet me as a friend, so I go by Jay. I am 36 years old, but I will be 37 next week. I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Born, bred, raised here in Philadelphia. Yeah, I can't remember what the last part of the question was. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You answered all of them. Happy early birthday, too, by the way.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So what is your eye condition? Like, how long have you been dealing with it and what caused it?
So I have a condition called retinitis pigmentosa. I was actually born with it. I was diagnosed at 3 years old. My mom tells the story that when I was younger, I was playing with a ball as a kid. I was about 3 years old, and I dropped the ball. I couldn't find the ball in front of me. She said it was like literally in front of my face. Like if I would have just reached down and grabbed it, I would have had it. But I couldn't see it. So my mom thought that was concerning. They took me to Will's Eye here in Philadelphia, and that's when I was diagnosed with RP. So I've been dealing with my condition my entire life.
So I definitely have a question. So I know that how much vision do you have like currently?
Well, that's actually a great question. I actually just got my visual acuity checked today. I went to the eye doctor, so perfect time to ask that question. I have 20/200 vision. My vision is, I was trying to make a video to show everybody what that would look like. So I have very blurry and very dim vision. Even in the brightest of lighting, it's very blurry and dim. I still do have some remaining peripheral vision. Long distance vision is a no-go for me, like seeing things far away. Even with glasses, that's a no-go. I've never had good night vision whatsoever at any part of my life. So that's pretty much how my eyesight has been set up for at least the last few years. My last visual change, because with RP, you go through stages where you continuously lose vision. So my last major vision loss change happened in like 2016. So since that, my vision has been like this.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then for those of us who are totally blind, like myself, who may be watching, can you give a physical description of yourself?
Absolutely. I am African American. I'm 6 feet. I am about 290 pounds. So I am your not quite prototypical NFL line offensive lineman. I have a low haircut, hopeless beard.
Hopeless.
Yeah, I am pretty much. I am the Rock if he really, 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 really let himself go.
Wow.
That's the way I can best describe myself.
So wait a minute, what does it mean, like a hopeless beard? What do you mean by a hopeless beard?
So I've been trying to grow a beard. Like I thought it would be a good idea in quarantine if I could like actually grow a beard. Kind of like up my age, like up my look a little bit. And I tried, and my sideburns were like, "We're with you, just in spirit." So yeah, it won't grow. I've been trying. The wife's been trying to help me grow it. It's just not happening. So right now, I am really, really thankful that in public we have to wear masks, because that way it covers up this hopeless beard project I have going on right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess that's what hopeless beard means. So yeah. So I I guess we'll go ahead and get down to the crux of the interview. Like I said, I was first introduced to you on TikTok, and you have certain segments that are actually some of my favorites to actually watch. So I guess that'll be the first thing that we actually talk about. I have to definitely say, hands down, my favorite segment is the stupid things to say to blind people.
Welcome to another episode of Stupid Things to Say to Blind People, brought to you by me. So when are you going to stop faking your blindness? What? We all know you can see, you match colors, so when are you going to stop faking? Tell you what, I'll stop faking being blind when you stop faking being an idiot. If you're blind, why aren't your eyes closed? Tell you what, I'll close my eyes when you close your mouth. We'll both keep them closed together. So you do that Morse code thing that blind people do too? I want you to go to the dictionary and look up Braille. And then tell me what you find. Can you see me over here? 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 Can you see me ignoring you over there? How about over here? Do you see me walking away? Good.
And I feel like you probably get a lot of attention for that.
Yeah.
But I guess my first question with that would be: is where did the inspiration for that come from?
So a lot of inspiration, and it's sad, but sometimes I have to go run some errands for my wife. When she was pregnant, this was like heavily the case. So I would go to the pharmacy just to go pick up medication, or I'd go pick up some odds and ends for the house. And every so often you would hear somebody give like a smart remark or a smart comment because, you know, people don't understand how ears work, apparently. They think when you're blind, you're also deaf.
Correct.
So they'll say little snide things, and those things kind of get to me. And it's like I've experienced this throughout my life, and I haven't had a way of, at least a healthy way, to kind of like vent those frustrations. So one day I was just like, you know what? I wanted to be, my first thought was, let me be encouraging. Let me just, you know, talk about the things that you probably shouldn't say. And I was going to say it in a very nice way. But I wasn't really feeling nice that day. I was feeling more sarcastic. And I came up with the concept of just stupid things, like as in, if you say these things, you will probably get, you know, chewed out by a blind person or a person who's visually impaired. And I put it out there, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be the video that gets me blocked or gets me like shut down. This is going to be because I just let loose that day. Like I was just tired of it.
Right.
And lo and behold, it became something that people were like, oh my God, I didn't know, you know, anybody else experienced this. Oh my God, I didn't know people said that to you. Wow, I can't believe people have said these things to you. And I'm like, you know, it became a thing where you get to laugh at it, but you also get a whole community of people who can kind of bond around those experiences, who can now talk about like, oh my God, someone said something like this to me one time before. Like,
there you go.
Stories that people tell in the comment section about like the things people have said to them and the way they've been treated. It's kind of like a way to like healthily vent that frustration.
And you know the funniest thing is, and you're probably gonna be like, what the hell? But the way that I have actually helped my sighted, you know, family members, friends, whatever, I showed them those videos.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of times, like you said, they say it and have like not the slightest clue on like the weight that it carries, or like, oh, well, you know, but once they actually get to see it, it's almost like, oh wow, that did sound stupid when I said it. There was one lady, and you know, I'm actually a part of a little blind group of friends and stuff like that. And I'm sure you probably saw it as well. The comment that, or not the comment, the video that everybody stitched about how do blind people wipe their behind after they use the bathroom.
How do blind people know when to stop wiping? Not trying to be rude. Legit question. How do they know? How do they know?
And in my mind, and it's like in my mind, I'm thinking, did you really? I mean, let's be real. Did you really think before you asked that question? But it's those kind of interactions, I guess, that I can say at least 95% of the stuff that you said in those videos, somebody has said to me at one point in time.
Here's what's sad. That was actually in an episode already. That was actually in an episode a couple of months ago. And I just looked at it and I was like, well, don't have to stitch this one. But you know, I have actually had somebody, one of my mutuals actually say, because they teach a social work class, and they started showing them that series. I was like, wow, okay. As in, like, if you're working with visually impaired individuals, watch out for these. Like, you don't want to say these things because it's not always about the, like, you may have good intentions when you ask a question, but sometimes it's about how you say it, right? Sometimes it's about how you ask a question. And if you don't really think about it, you can be really offensive to a person who's visually impaired. So it's kind of like, I want it to be like a warning, like, hey, I understand you have questions. Everybody's going to have questions. It's totally fine. Just remember, if you wouldn't want somebody to ask you a question like that, don't ask somebody else a question like that.
There
Like,
you go.
that's a heavily invasion of privacy.
There you go. There you go. So, and since we were on the topic of TikTok, I guess one of the things I've always wanted to know is actually what got you started on TikTok? Did you just wake up one day and say, I'm going to create an account and that's just going to be what it is?
No. So my wife had TikTok before I did. And, you know, pandemic, everybody got TikTok, and my wife is one of those people that keeps up with social media. I'm not.
Okay.
She's really good with that. I'm terrible with it. And one day I just heard her, like, she was watching videos on TikTok one day. I don't know if you remember that bad romance trend where everybody was going up in octave, singing Caught Up in a Bad Romance. And I was like, I thought she was watching the same video over and over again. I'm like, I get it. She can sing. Like, can we stop watching this? It's like, no, that's a trend. Like, that's what they do on TikTok. And I'm like, okay, don't want no part of this. Then I heard it was the dancing app for children, and I'm like, definitely don't want any part of that. And then I heard her watching Bimo the Prince, who does a bunch of skits on TikTok, and I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then she found another person, I can't remember who, and I was like, oh, that's funny. Okay, so they do some funny stuff on TikTok. So maybe I'll go on and I'll watch and see, you know, if I can find some things that I find funny. Like, I could use a good distraction right now. We're trapped in the house for a while. And I got on and I started watching. And I don't ever remember Googling blind or visually impaired ever on TikTok, because I didn't usually watch a lot of blind or visually impaired content prior to. But I think it's one of those things where, like, if you Google search something, TikTok goes, okay, well, you Google searched it, so you must be interested in watching it.
Right.
So I came across 5 creators, Lucy Edwards, Haley Hall 25, Blind Beauty, Blind Kitchen Lady, and Blind Press. And I seen the 5 of them just talk about their visual impairment and their journey. And I'm like, I wonder if people would be interested if I had, you know, shared my journey or whatever. And I'm like, I'm thinking about it because I've wanted to be a content creator for so long. I didn't know if this was the right outlet. And I remember telling my wife, you know what, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to, you know, try this out and just see what happens. And she's like, if you're going to do it, put your whole heart into it, just go for it. So I remember one night I sat down and I recorded 6 videos. I recorded like a stupid introduction to my channel, which totally no longer applies, because I was going to talk about my vision, but I was also going to talk about like DC stuff, Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, and I never got around to that. And then I started sharing about my RP and like what being visually impaired was like for me. And lo and behold, people started coming in, and it was amazing, because I didn't think anybody would be interested in my story. I didn't think anybody would care. And the fact that people cared and the fact that people wanted to watch was surprising and encouraging. All these things. Ever since then, I've been making videos, trying to engage people and trying to build community.
So does it ever shock you that, like, well, I guess you kind of didn't answer the question, but like, do you ever like just stand back and be like, wow, like, never in my wildest dreams that I have ever believed that? Because I'm telling you, I mean, on Blind Talk, let me say it like that, you're all over. Like, it's you up and through there. You know, and there's other people as well, but I would venture to say that you are all up and through Blind Talk. Even in different circles, your name is usually in the top 5 of people that I've ever heard mentioned when it comes to Blind Talk.
That's funny, because I can't find myself at all when I'm searching. I'm like, TikTok really hates me. But I am surprised that people care. I'm surprised that, you know, I shoot videos in front of my, like, literally off to the left of me right now. I shoot videos in front of my bedroom door. And I don't think my video quality is, like, amazing. And like I criticize, I think with any creator, you criticize your own work the hardest. But the fact that people seem to care, people, they grab on and they listen to what you say. They say that your videos help. Like, it's surprising, it's encouraging, and it's motivating, because when you realize that, like, hey, these videos are helping someone, brighten someone's day, or these videos are helping someone relate, or someone is newly visually impaired and they're trying to learn to navigate this whole life, and here's somebody who's willing to open up and share. I think it's great that people like my content, and I hope people continue to like my content, and I hope to support other people, because the thing about TikTok that I really like, it's not like a YouTube or an Instagram where like people follow you and you don't follow them back. It's really like a community. You follow me, I follow you. We support each other's stuff. We support each other's ventures, and it becomes a whole community. And that's the thing I really like about TikTok over a lot of the other platforms.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And it's funny because what you just said just resonated me, because I'm probably the most critical. And those who know me best, okay, am I in the camera frame? Am I looking at the camera? Is there a room above my head? Am I, is there something on my face? It's so much. And then, I mean, and everybody around me is constantly having to remind me, look, just you getting out there and doing it is a feat within itself. So again, I'm still critical, and like you said, I think we are our own worst critics, but I'm trying to get back there.
But look at it like this: if you stop criticizing your stuff, like if you stop being your harshest critic, you won't put your best foot forward in every project you do. Think about how many times you may have made a video or made an advertisement for a podcast and went, "That's not my best." You delete it, you start over, right? You're always trying to be the absolute best to what you do. Right.
Yeah, I know. I was a dancer back in the day, and when I lost my sight, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to dance. It is what it is. And this little group of friends was like, you gotta get it, you gotta do it, and it was funny because they supported me like all the way through. They duetted it, they did all of that. Shout out to all of you guys if you're watching. But I also had this one friend who was like, do it again. And I remember my first reaction was, what the hell are you talking about? Like, do you know how much it took for me to get in front of this camera? But the craziest thing is that when he sat me down, he was like, but you know what? I know that you can do better. I know that you are capable of more. And I'm that friend that's going to push you to make sure that you put your best foot out there forward. And I had to respect him for that. Yeah, I definitely had to respect him for that. So, next question. I hear you're a part of a podcast, sir. What's up with that? You're gonna tell us about this podcast?
I am one of 7 co-hosts of the Inspirations Beyond Disability podcast.
Oh, by the way, welcome to Inspirations Beyond Disabilities, the live stream and the podcast.
One of the things that my biggest pet peeve is where there's no accountability. People who always blame someone else. Like if you always talk to them about a situation, it's always somebody else's fault.
Right. You're so unlucky. There's no way you've ever been wrong. People just wrong you left and right.
Yes, all the time.
To me, it's easy. It's a timeline thing. You did this. I reacted this way. Right. You reacted this way because I reacted this way. Now, if we want to get back to the cause of the argument, go back to the beginning of the timeline.
It had basically just said, a lot of people of a certain type really crave conflict. I don't know why, because I fucking hate conflict.
Me
but they do.
too.
They crave it. They were hurt. Like you are childish. You're stupid. You're immature. Your hat is ugly. Like they really just be going ham because they want so badly for you to react.
Episode link in the comments.
About a whole plethora of things. Mainly, we talk about being blind and visually impaired and what that journey is like and our personal experiences. We talk. Last week we talked about just our love for music because a few of us are musicians. We talked about our love for music. We talked about dealing with sensory overload a few weeks ago. Just being blind and visually impaired and not really understanding the trauma that can actually be created when you're out in public and your senses are just overloaded by the sight, by the sounds, and by the being in close proximity to things that are breakable and being afraid to move in dim lighting and how much that can actually create like a trauma. So we talk about a whole host of things. This week, just a little plug for this week. We've got 2 episodes on Friday. Friday afternoon, Blind in New York, Ezra is doing a show with Kimberly Ann 80 from TikTok talking about Oregon. And then that evening at about 6 o'clock, I'm doing a show with Marie Zach Noon and Lisa Lastra, just talking about what it is to be a visually impaired student in college and in grad school. So if there's some topics that you are interested in, if there's some topics that you want to hear other blind and visually impaired creators talk about, like, come check us out. Like, we love talking about everything that we possibly can, just to have a wider range of like blind or visually impaired topics to talk about. The way I always look at it is it's the conversation you can't have in 60 seconds on TikTok. It's the conversation you can't have in 3 minutes, and it's the conversation that trolls can't block you for trying to have online. So if you enjoy it, Inspirations Beyond Disability has its own YouTube channel. Come check us out.
Okay. And look, you actually just answered my next question about where they can find it at. So this is one of the things that I always found very interesting and intriguing about you. You never met somebody who has like this voice that commands the room? Like, they literally come in and it's like they speak and like, wait a minute, what was said? To me, you embody that voice. Like, so my father, when I was a kid, my father, when it came to talking and stuff like that, he was really kind of like, soft-spoken. He didn't, well, let me not say soft-spoken. He didn't really say much. He was a jokester, whatever. But it was like when he wanted to get your attention, he had this voice that literally made it feel like the walls shook whenever he wanted to speak. You have that voice. I really just feel like you should know that you have that voice. And I don't know if it's like if that's something that just comes naturally, or if you have to like learn that or take courses or what it is. But like, has anybody ever told you about that, having a voice like that?
Yeah, I've been told that throughout my life. I've been told I have the preacher voice. I've been told I have the teacher that walks into the room and tells all the kids to shut up and sit down. I've been told a number of things, but this has been a gift given to me for years. Like, it's had its ups and downs. Like, my voice changed at 9 years old, so I've sounded like this since I was 9. So wow. it has its ups and downs. So
like,
it definitely has its ups and downs.
So like, you're like the kid on the playground that's talking like how you're talking now.
Yeah. I was the sergeant of arms in my 8th grade class, and I was doing the job because of my voice. Because when I yell, I could drown out a class of 32. So yeah, that was fun back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can see that. So I guess my next question, and probably one of my final questions, is that I got a couple other questions, but I'm assuming with the role that you play now, you're interested or maybe trying to pursue doing advocacy work within the community.
Absolutely. So I love TikTok. I love being on TikTok. I love raising awareness, but I believe awareness ultimately without action is useless. So I'm trying to get involved with the National Federation for the Blind, the American Council for the Blind, to actually get out and lobby for the things that the blind and visually impaired community need. I've talked about things of like the need for stronger penalties for violating the Americans with Disabilities Act, to hold companies accountable for abusing what they think is not reasonable for reasonable accommodations. I love watching the awareness for audio descriptions grow. So I want to get more active. I don't want to just talk about it. I actually want to have my hand in on trying to make sure that those things change.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, I really feel like that would be something that could really right up your alley. Okay, I guess I was getting a call. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, my bad. Sorry, I was getting a call. But yeah, so again, I think that's something that you should pursue. Me personally, and like I said, I would hope that everybody will follow you on that journey. Last but not least, before I give you the opportunity to turn the tables around and ask me something, I've said with this new segment starting in October, which is Meet the Blind Month for the NFB, what would be something, a piece of advice, encouragement or anything that you would give somebody who is in the blind community moving forward?
So the piece of advice I love to share, especially with newly visually impaired, newly legally blind, or newly totally blind individuals, is your life is not over, right? We come into this experience where our vision changes and the world that we knew, or the way that we perceive the world, radically shifts. And sometimes we can get into a mode where our life is over. We start to mourn the fact that we no longer, or we start to believe the fact that we no longer have a life, to the point where we start to mourn who we used to be. Just because you lose your vision, just because your vision changes, just because you have a decline, that does not mean your life is over. You may have to do things differently. You may have to adjust a few things. You may lose some friends, because unfortunately that does happen. But that does not mean your life is over. Your life is just turning into a new chapter. You're going to learn how to do things that you know how to do automatically. You're going to learn how to do them differently. You're still going to thrive. You're going to be an example to a lot of people that you still can have a life. You are going to encounter some ableism, and unfortunately, it's not fair, and I'm sorry. But your life is not over. Do not give up just because your sight changes.
You better preach in here this evening, sir. You better preach. So, like I said, I always give the interviewee the opportunity to ask me a question if they so please. So, if you have a question for me, you are now free to ask it.
What are your passions?
So I actually just had this conversation with a couple of friends of mine. My passion, ever since I lost my vision, has always been to inspire and encourage. I felt like my sight loss journey has been a tumultuous one. I was actually supposed to be dead on a couple of occasions. And I'll never forget my father telling me that obviously I have a purpose here. And I feel like that purpose may be, letting somebody know that, hey, the decisions that I made don't make it. Or like you just said a second ago, letting somebody know that, hey, you can push on and go through. Right. So me personally, I feel fulfilled when I see other people thriving, or when I see other people moving on and going on with their life. Outside of that, I love music. I love, like I said earlier, I'm a big dancer. I just love people and being around people and acting a damn fool and all of that. So that's just me in a nutshell. It's just, being silly, goofy, encouraging, emotional, Dominic. That's just me. So, yeah.
Okay. And my last question. Will you come on my podcast?
You want me to come on your podcast?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
See, why would you ask me that? Yeah, do I have to answer that?
No, you don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer that.
Okay. Yeah, y'all. So thank y'all for tuning in to this. Thank you, Jay, for coming on. I will be talking to you after this show.